A Manhattan is a cocktail made with whiskey, sweet vermouth, and bitters. Commonly used whiskies include rye, Canadian whiskey, bourbon, blended whiskey and Tennessee whiskey. The cocktail is often stirred and strained into a cocktail glass, where it is garnished with a maraschino cherry with a stem. A Manhattan is also frequently served on the rocks in a lowball glass. The whiskey-based Manhattan is one of 5 cocktails named for one of New York City's 5 boroughs, but is perhaps most closely related to the Brooklyn cocktail, a mix utilizing dry vermouth and maraschino liqueur in place of the Manhattan's sweet vermouth, as well as Amer Picon in place of the Manhattan's traditional bitters. The Manhattan is one of 6 basic drinks listed in David A. Embury's classic The Fine Art of Mixing Drinks. Origin and history. A popular history suggests that the drink originated at the Manhattan Club in New York City in the early 1870s, where it was invented by Dr. Ian Marshall for a banquet hosted by Jenny Jerome in honor of presidential candidate Samuel J. Tilden. The success of the banquet made the drink fashionable, later prompting several people to request the drink by referring to the name of the club where it originated, the Manhattan cocktail. However, Lady Randolph was in France at the time and pregnant, so the story is likely a fiction. The original Manhattan cocktail was a mix of American whiskey, Italian vermouth and Angostura bitters. During Prohibition, Canadian whiskey was primarily used because it was available. However, there are prior references to various similar cocktail recipes called Manhattan, and served in the Manhattan area. By one account, it was invented in the 1860s by a bartender named Black at a bar on Broadway near Houston's Street. An early record of the cocktail can be found in William Schmidt's The Flowing Bowl, published in 1891. In it, he details a drink containing 2 dashes of gum, 2 dashes of bitters, 1 dash of absinthe, 2/3 portion of whiskey and 1/3 portion of vermouth. The same cocktail appears listed as a Tennessee cocktail in Shake 'em Up. By V. Elliott and P. Strong, copyright 1930, 2 parts of whiskey, 1 part of Italian vermouth and a dash of bitters poured over ice and stirred vigorously. Traditions. On the small North Frisian island of Far Paragraph HR, the Manhattan cocktail is a standard drink at almost every cafe, restaurant, and get-together of locals. The story goes that many of the people of Far Paragraph HR immigrated to Manhattan during deep-sea fishing trips, took a liking to the drink, and brought it back to Far Paragraph HR with them. The drink is usually mixed 1 part vermouth to 2 parts whiskey, with a dash of bitters, served ice-cold, in an ice-cold glass, or with ice and a cherry garnish. There is a mistaken belief that Manhattans are always stirred and never shaken. Traditions for both preparations go back to the late 1800s. Variations. Traditional views insist that a Manhattan be made with American rye whiskey. However, more often than not, it is made with bourbon or Canadian whiskey. The Manhattan is subject to considerable variation and innovation, and is often a way for the best bartenders to show off their creativity. Some shake the ingredients with ice in a cocktail shaker instead of stirring it, creating a froth on the surface of the drink. Angostura are the classic bitters, but orange bitters, peach ords bitters, may be used, or the Manhattan can be made without any bitters at all. Using Fernet Branca yields what is called a fanciully cocktail. Some make their own bitters and syrups, substitute comparable digestives in place of vermouth, specialize in local or rare whiskies, or use other exotic ingredients. A lemon peel may be used as garnish. Some add juice from the cherry jar or maraschino liqueur to the cocktail for additional sweetness and color. Originally, bitters were considered an integral part of any cocktail, as the ingredient that differentiated a cocktail from a sling. Over time, those definitions of cocktail and sling have become archaic, as sling has fallen out of general use, and cocktail can mean any drink that resembles a martini, or simply any mixed drink. The following are other variations on the classic Manhattan. A Rob Roy is made with Scotch whiskey. A dry Manhattan is made with dry vermouth instead of sweet vermouth and served with a twist. A perfect Manhattan is made with equal parts sweet and dry vermouth. A brandy Manhattan is made with brandy instead of whiskey and is very popular in Wisconsin and Minnesota. A Metropolitan is similar to a brandy Manhattan, but with a 3-to-1 ratio of brandy to vermouth. A Cuban Manhattan is a perfect Manhattan with dark rum as its principal ingredient. A Tijuana Manhattan is made with an Angel tequila. The Fourth Regiment is a classic cocktail that uses a 1/1 ratio of whiskey and vermouth, and uses 3 dashes of 3 different bitters: orange bitters, celery bitters, and peach ords bitters. References. External links.